and welcome back to Disco Elysium. Last time we snooped in this computer. And now this lady came and it's her computer and maybe we shouldn't have been snooping. That's something we'll have to live with, I suppose. Regardless, I'm gonna talk to her.
What is it?
I didn't break anything, did I?
No, you just printed out my personal log and wasted some paper.
Does not look like a big loss to her. Hey, are you the lead programmer of We're All Untethered by any chance?
Yes. Or no, not anymore. That project is dead.
She doesn't seem surprised to be recognized. Rather sad. Something passes over her face before she straightens her back.
Sorry, but who are you? What are you doing here?
I am Soona Luukkanen-Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident and RSA radios. I have over 16 years of programming experience, and I'm proficient in both Vox and Orbis languages.
Wow. She said her name very Finnishly. Soona Luukkanen-Kilde. Luukkanen sounds like a Finnish name indeed. Soona. Yeah, I can hear that being Finnish too. I don't have that much knowledge of Finland. Probably less than I should have, considering we're neighbors and all. But it is what it is. Lead programmer of Fortress Accident. There's that name. And RSA radios. Vox and Orbis programming languages. Interesting.
If you're not here to hire me, I don't really know how I can help you.
Did she say over 16 years of experience? She must have started programming when she was still a teenager.
What are you doing in an abandoned church?
You really like those questions, don't you?
There's a hint of amusement in her tired eyes.
They're bloodshot. She really hasn't been getting much sleep lately, has she?
I'm a police officer. It's my job to ask questions.
I'm conducting scientific research here. You can't throw me out.
What research?
I'm looking for the location of a 2mm hole in the world.
A 2mm hole in the world.
Wait, what?
Thank you, logic.
She's looking for a disruption in the radio waves. That's what her personal log said.
Thank you, interfacing.
Raises his brows, but doesn't say anything.
Is the hole connected to the data loss in your journal?
Yes, that's what led me here. But I suspect it might be something a bit more complicated than that.
A hole in the world. What does that mean exactly?
Exactly. What does it mean? Up to now, it has been impossible to say what it is because it's impossible to measure nothing.
Quite so.
What do you think it is? What qualities does nothing have? How do you measure something that does not exist?
She's suddenly absorbed in the conversation, waiting for your answers. Is conceptualization going to chime in?
Easy.
Logic.
Measure it by the world around it.
Ah, good job, logic. I just want to read this real quick so I know my options before I answer. You measure it by collecting data on its surroundings, on that which exists.
Exactly. Very true. That's what I've been aiming for. That's why I have those basins. I've tried using hydro transducers to record the silence, to find out where it begins.
This is, by the way, you could apply this line of reasoning to how we knew about black holes before we could like register them, because that was a big deal not too many years ago, that we managed to get kind of a photo, not really a photo, you know, but managed to like take a snapshot of a black hole. That we couldn't do that before, but we knew they existed because there had to be something with gravity, because there were things orbiting around a point. there had to be something there. And it's the same thing with like dark matter and dark energy. Can't see it, can't like register it by any like measurable metric that we have, but we can see how things move and act and be like, yep, there has to be something. Anyways, tried using hydrotransducers. That's gotta be the water in the with the wires in it, to record the silence to find out where it begins. Oh, she's using the water as sort of a like a microphone almost.
Ah, hydrotransducers. So that's what those water basins are. Devices for recording sound through water.
But honestly, it's not progressing very well.
She grows silent, staring at her circle of basins. Looks like some ancient ritual.
But does it have anything to do with necroplasmic life forms? Ghosts, in everyday parlance.
That's fun. Sure. Does it have anything to do with ghosts?
Ghosts? No, I don't think so. I don't believe in ghosts.
What about other supernatural entities?
I don't believe in them either.
That's probably wise, not believing in them.
Great. What are we talking about? And why?
She gets back to work, a clear signal that this branch of the conversation is over. You said the research isn't going well, why not?
Because it's just trial and error. Trying to locate the swallow, the exact point in space.
Well, isn't that science? Trial and error.
And I don't have a... You know what? It would be really helpful if you could just stop talking and let me work.
Do you have any idea where this hole might be located?
Somewhere underneath those roof beams, I assume.
She looks up, eyes trying to pierce the pitch black heights above, without much success.
Strange things may flourish in the dark.
Why there?
There's this place at the back of the church. A place where all audible vibrations seem to decease. I've named it the Swallow. And the higher you go, the less you record.
The Pillar of Silence? Are you sure it's not just an architectural quirk?
Maybe, but it's oddly close to the physical coordinates of the data loss that led me to this place.
This is where the Crabman lives.
I know.
You don't think Crabman might be somehow responsible here?
No, I don't.
Okay. I guess that's all I wanted to know about the scary 2mm hole in the world, for now.
Great. Thanks.
Have you seen the Crabman?
No?
We know he's around.
Yes.
He's seen you.
And?
Okay, it's probably not a big deal though.
No. You're right. I'm not.
Her voice trails off as she bends over. Why are there so many machines in this place?
I brought them here. These are my machines. Please don't touch anything.
Why do you need an antenna?
I use the AR1 as my RAIN prefix processing unit.
Ream Prefect, that's your radio computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that antenna is its processing unit?
Yes. You really don't know anything about radio
Ooh.
computers, do you?
I know a little.
All right. Well, all radio computers perform operations up on air. So in order to gain more processing power, you need to invest in a good antenna.
Wait, what's on air?
On the front, the unified front of radio waves, licensed and controlled by Lintel in the East Insulindic region.
Interesting. Is everything like cloud computing?
It's all around us. That's what on air means.
Like love.
God damn it, conceptualization. And the AR1, is it a good antenna?
Yes, it is. So far, I've been quite satisfied with it. Martinez is an unstable region with bad coverage, and the operation has been surprisingly stable. But it's not the cheapest one on the market, so I wouldn't recommend it for your regular red tape operations. Fraser 1000 is a foolproof line for civilians. Anyway, you should do some research before you decide to buy anything. Ask around, compare the prices. There are many milieux dedicated to that sort of thing.
Okay. What are you doing with your radio computer?
I'm working.
The machine seems almost alien with its pulsing core. the light casting her face in a strange shadow.
Working on what?
Could you just shh for a moment? Or get to the point. I really need to focus on something.
Sorry. I have more questions though. Isn't your REM prefect radio computer made exclusively for the government use?
So you do know something about computers. You're right. Prefect is used mostly by the government peeps.
So why do you have it?
Because I needed something good for my investigation, and Reims Civic is widely agreed to be below all standards. So I had to upgrade. Besides, owning a Reims prefect isn't such a big deal anymore.
Really?
No, actually, it is kind of a big deal.
Oh.
You don't see Ream prefects in every police department, for example.
How did you get your hands on it?
I know a friend of a friend who used to freelance for the coalition. I was actually aiming for the military-grade Reim Rational series, but couldn't find one. Prefect is mainly based on the same technology as Reims Civic, so it's kind of a rip-off. But it does have better compatibility with newer antenna models, so I won't complain.
What about those bowls of water over there?
They are connected to my Reim prefect. Whatever you do, just please don't move them, okay? Thanks.
Short and terse. There you have it. Whatever she's using them for, they're hers.
I like this character as well. Right. I'll try not to touch anything. Next question.
Right.
I'm gonna leave the conversation for a second to have my breakthrough.
Actual art degree. Trite, contrived, mediocre, milquetoast, amateurish, infantile, cliche and gonorrhea-ridden peon to conformism. I fucked me. Affront to humanity. War crime. Should literally be tried for war crimes. Resolutely shit. Lacking in imagination. Uninformed reimagining of lip-wristed, premature, ill-informed attempt at talentless fuckfest, recidivistic shit peddler, pedantic, listless, savagely boring, just one repulsive laugh after another.
Jesus Christ. I gotta write this down somewhere. Goddamn. Really? Oh, dude. That's super good. But my hands shake from anger with how shit all art is. That's really funny. We have an actual art degree now. Totally. We haven't had to use hand-eye coordination a whole lot. From what I can remember.
Yes, what is it?
How do you feel about anodic dance music?
I hate it.
I bet she hasn't even heard it.
Look at that. 10 experience just for that. Dude, we're gonna be so experienced. What are you, 40? Have you ever listened to it? Like, actually listened?
Yeah, like all the time. My tent neighbors don't really ease up with their partying, do they?
She pulls a face that looks absolutely scathing. I got an achievement for my art cop. Apparently I have art cop dialogue that isn't being tracked here. I think. And I've done 5 of those now.
Maybe I'd have to be on drugs to get it, but to a sober mind it just sounds like uninspired rug whipping. No idea what it has to do with either dancing or music.
Right. But how do you feel about a club for anodic dance music?
This is about those speed freaks in the tent, isn't it? I've got some news for you. It's not a nightclub they want to build here.
I know.
Take a guess, why don't you?
I heard they're also planning on building a drug lab.
Bingo! That's exactly what they're up to.
Ah, wonderful.
He whispers, admiring the embellished pillars and the spectacular architecture in the
Now
church.
This house of worship is also going to be a drug lab. Always something fascinating happening in towns.
I don't want to condone this.
So that's settled. Great. No nightclubs in the church then.
Right. I'll let you work in peace now. Yeah, I'm gonna have those shit kids kicked out. I wanna go in here. What is this?
In white, silver.
Oh, it's not an entry.
Fails. The young mother of humanism stands above you. A crack runs across her body. She is impossibly tall, oval-faced and sad. A dark and radiant majesty. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. You should kneel.
Why? No.
Cold wind seeps in from the crack in the glass. Snowdrifts cover the floorboards at your feet. Above, you feel her multicolored eyes on you, inspecting you, as if under a microscope.
Look up.
The woman looks down at you, standing there. She towers among her followers, architects, laymen, courtiers. There is a sad smile on her lips, and a glint in her green-blue eye. Of what? Compassion? Remorse? She acknowledges the passing of someone who is still alive.
Dude, this is so good. She acknowledges the passing of someone who is still alive. This is a really interesting thing to say. It's not possible to live.
As that great and desperate thought passes through your mind, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder.
I do the same.
Your fingertips touch your chest 4 times as you stand in the apricot-colored light of the window. Above you, the woman still smiles, her distant smile, sundered by the crack in the glass.
This is Dolores Day.
The old woman in the village was right. This must be the Delorean Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the small Pinewood Church in some records.
You know the place?
It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. It was built not long after Revachol's founding, 300 or so years ago, by first-generation settlers.
On the coast of an uninhabited archipelago where only animals had roamed before, in the wild reeds.
What else do you know?
There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. Lessetsa,
Oh, stave churches.
the 7 Sisters. Only one remains. The rest were burnt in the revolution or used for building materials.
Les Sept Sœurs.
We should be respectful here, although the building appears to be deserted. I do not believe we'll find anything connected to the lynching here. Something else, perhaps.
He looks at the machinery lying around.
Respectful. Is the lieutenant
Holy
a
shit.
follower of Deloreanism?
Kim, are you a follower of DeLoreanism?
Yes, we all are. Her name, body, and rule are synonymous with humanism. The laws we enforce are DeLorean in origin.
I'm gonna stroke my chin
The
first.
woman looks by in silence, smiling enigmatically.
I didn't think you were spiritual.
It's not spiritual, it's constitutional. The DeLorean system does not demand faith, only accordance.
I'm gonna leave for now, quick save,
The mother of humanism.
and try these rolls. First of all,
And complex wax painting.
yeah, encyclopedia.
Of glass. A crack. Despite the damage you've done to yourself, the title appears lodged in your hippocampus. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. The innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. Perhaps the most famous human being ever to have lived. No amount of Commodore Red can wipe her sad smile from your brain thing. It has survived the deluge and haunts you still, and will haunt you forever, as it haunts all men.
What exactly is an innocence? I've heard of the
The
system.
highest category of historic individual, an embodiment of the world's spirit.
These are interesting options. I'm going to lean... I'm curious about this option, actually. Let's ask a tyrant, question mark?
In a way, an innocence is elected to office by the founding party, a precedent that has taken place a mere 6 times in the entirety of history. The legal system of the Real Belt is built from the ground up to accommodate innocent rule should it coincide with our time. An innocence is infallible. The decisions made by one are not decisions. They are inevitabilities. What would have happened anyway, only accelerated, packed into decades instead of centuries. An innocence is a continuous, compressed event, a sacred human being. It is an honor and a glory to live when one is in office.
Huh. Is one in office now?
No, we are alone.
Okay. When did she rule?
300 years ago, in the wake of the discovery of this Isola, the Insulindian, by explorers from the continent of Muindi. She is, among other things, the innocence of inter-isolary travel and the connected world.
What else do I know about her?
Many things. You know she was a woman of the court, the wife of an influential Marchese, and eventually the principal advisor to Irene La Navigateur, Queen of Suresnes, modern-day Sir Laclais. Also, that she was gorgeous beyond beauty.
They talked about the moralist guy in the smoking guy's room talked about Sola Clef a lot.
Draped
Clay.
in ancient sadness. Are you sure you want to remember this bit of historic trivia? Standing under a long, slender form like this, dwarfed.
Where's this coming from?
The past. It's a silo of sadness, fermenting. You should keep away. No, you must know.
Dude, every time this happens, like, the good chemicals fire in my brain. Like, we got like 30 XP that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise before even leaving the church. Conceptually, this is so good. I must know. What else? Was she smart?
Terribly, women of the court were expected to play both contract bridge and chess sufficiently well to prove an interesting challenge to a man. A simple grasp in matters of philosophy, theology, and science was encouraged. She was, by all means, a kept woman.
What does that mean? A kept
She
woman?
made the most of her position in the antediluvian court. A court visited by the most prominent thinkers and artists of the day. In secret, she was becoming the era's preeminent philosopher of the state. A scalpel, a piercing gaze. She was an almost preternaturally magnetic and intelligent individual. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. We all fell in love with her, head over heels. Even before she was declared an innocent, her influence was tremendous.
Even before. How come?
It was on her advice that Irene La Navigateur sponsored a number of voyages into the Pale. A costly, often tragic endeavor, ultimately vindicated by the discovery of the new world. The piece of reality you're standing on.
The new world. Man, the world building in this game is kind of nuts.
She was crowned 2 years after the first expedition returned, setting in motion what is widely considered the greatest era in history. The DeLorean era.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. When her innocence was declared, and the queen she had advised for years fell on her knees before her, she was so overcome with emotion that her lungs started glowing in her chest.
Crazy.
Bystanders reported golden filaments lighting the already sunlit chamber around her, clearly visible beneath her dress. That is why the lungs are the symbol of love for the cultures of the Real Belt.
good chemicals. I want more.
As did we all. The lands of the Mesk and the Occident, and even far away Supramawindi, altogether 21 of the 40 Mundial nations of the time, immediately accepted Innocentic rule, even before her crowning.
Huh. 21 of the 40 Mundial nations. This is some crazy stuff. Her crowning.
In a city called Advesperaskit, in Vesper Messina, her homeland, the name of the city means evening comes. But it happened on a winter's morning, with the canals frozen and slush falling out of the sky. She was dressed in a white and pearl dress, on an emptied-out plaza, with the crowd far away. Already, her Theriers, the secret servicemen of the Innocents, were worried about an assassination attempt.
Funny that you can be like, oh, I don't care. She must have been beautiful.
Oh yes, she looked like humanity's young mother, a perfect mother, insultingly beautiful. It was as if her face and shoulders and hands were covered in a soft down of underfeathers. You know this well, very well.
Huh.
Midwinter snow was beating the cobblestones around her. A small attaché of officials stood by as her Theriers placed a white gold wreath on her head. The crowning was mostly witnessed by secret servicemen.
I know this well very well. I don't really know what that is getting at. I'm curious about it. Then what?
One of the men in this secret service killed her 22 years later. A young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Day was not entirely human, but something else.
Huh. What?
Something that had walked in our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds, if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere in the course of our history. We were supposed to come up with this ourselves. The man was reported to have screamed at the Innocents.
That is really fascinating. That gets me thinking on some, like, Arthur C. Clarke shit.
Dolores Day was shot in the chest with a fowling piece 8 times.
Ooh.
The man, thought to be insane, said he once touched her and her body had been unnaturally warm, like a furnace, and that sometimes, while on duty, he observed her forgetting to breathe for over 10 minutes. This inhuman quality was witnessed by many others as well, glowing lungs and all. It is commonly attributed to mass hysteria and religious psychology.
This is super interesting. Was there something terrifying about her?
Terrifying is a term too emotionally charged for your semantic memory, or what remains of it. But terrifying, it's a simple word. She was bad for humanity, and you shouldn't have started thinking about her.
Why is Inland Empire being like this? Shouldn't have... No, was there something bad about her I want to know?
You already do. Although she is often considered to be the greatest human being to ever live, there was something ominous about Dolores Day. Constantly surrounded by her Theriers, she was the most socially secluded and least self-aware of all the Innocences. Some modern thinkers would consider her a war criminal for the campaigns she waged against the Mesk state. And then there were the resettlement programs.
What happened?
The Mesk state tried to detach itself from Innocentic rule. Parts of the world were experiencing whiplash from accelerated into secularism. Her mandatory education programs and mass resettlement of upstream Marguerite were problematic as well. Dissenters were suppressed by a military force she called the Army of Humanity, suggesting those who fight against it are not part of humanity. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Day often holds a tiny tin soldier between her index finger and thumb in icons such as this. She was also blonde, the blondest woman you have ever seen, with green eyes the color of the Pacific, Mare interregnum.
A C, I think. A Tiny Tin Soldier. So she was into Warhammer. I'm gathering.
Little is known of her Marchese husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce Dolores Day to court. In conclusion, yes, there is something lonely, paranoid, and even terrifying that people seldom mention, but feel when they think of her.
Interesting.
This subtle terror is part of her iconography.
Lieutenant Yefrater, you've stood there for over 5 minutes.
His calm voice echoes in the cold air of the
What
church.
are you thinking of, if I may ask?
Interesting. She's not human.
Okay.
Then after a while, he takes off his glasses off to clean them. Then after a while, he says,
Church, the coast in general, we shouldn't linger here. This isn't a good place to get lost in. We should conclude our business and move on.
I don't know how he felt about me saying that. I'm gonna save there.
The mother of humanism.
I'm gonna roll the visual calculus as well.
Precious and complex wax. A jigsaw of broken shards falls into place in front of you. A ghostly reconstruction of the stained glass window. Before it was shattered, there was an older woman beneath the younger one. And a text. A leitmotif below them both.
Leitmotiv. That word is often used in music to describe sort of a theme or a piece, a phrase perhaps connected to a specific character or a place, or even a concept, in like a story. Like you can have a leitmotif in a movie soundtrack or in an opera, things like that. What shattered this mosaic?
Unknown. A motor carriage. A gunshot. Someone falling into it. Or maybe just hooligans looking for something to break.
Who's this older woman?
The escutcheon on her throne says, Irene the
Oh.
Navigator. She is depicted as an older woman wearing thick-rimmed eyeglasses, holding a golden Reichsapfel in one hand and a scepter in the other. This is the queen her innocence day advised. Above, she herself is whole.
Reichsapfel, the apple of the Reich, Rike, realm, I guess is the English term, the closest English term.
Small figures of wise men, common men, worshippers walk up the stairs to stand at her feet. Secret servicemen, 30 years, stand in a row guarding her. It must have taken years to produce this work in all its dizzying detail.
What about the motto? What does it say?
Below both women, in luminous black letters, après la vie, mort. Après la mort, la vie de nouveau.
Après la vie, mort. After life, death. Après la mort, la vie de nouveau. After death, the new life. If après means what I think it means, if this indeed means after, which, because the password was after life, death, that feels correct. So après la vie, mort. Après la mort, la vie de nouveau. Nouveau. Fuck, I can't read. After life, death. After death, the new life.
And then, along the left side, après le monde, la gré. Après le gré, le monde de nouveau.
After the world, le gris. The gray? After the gray, the new world? I think that's what gris means, but I'm not sure.
After life, death. After death,
Oh, is that what...
life again. After the world, the pale. after the pale, the world again. This is the great leitmotif of humanism, a summary of the effect of the discovery of this isola, the insulindian, on human thinking. A tremendous sea change akin to finding life after death.
Fascinating. This is really interesting. You know, this wouldn't have been half as interesting if I wasn't playing as a detective and like learning as I go about the world. If this was just like in a book or whatever, it wouldn't be as interesting, I don't think.
Could these words be the password that unlocks the filament memory?
They could be. Which they were, but we knew that. Hey, Lieutenant, this used to say after life, death, after...
Death. Life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This exaltation is common in Dolorian sacralism. In the early years, it was even incorporated as the RCM slogan. No more, however.
Why?
It was deemed subservient to use a strongly moral intern-related motto. We already suspected of bootlicking. The sentence was also seen as too feminine. It was a macho thing.
Really? What is the RCM motto now?
Justice, union, prudence, and force.
Holy shit, really? I guess it's cool that I can say that, I'm not gonna. I like the other one better.
So do I.
I'm gonna step back.
The mother of humanism.
That was very interesting, and I got a skill point. I wanna think about the wasteland of reality. I'm gonna have -2 physical instrument. I'm gonna be weak as hell for 20 hours. But if I can beat my alcoholism, it has been brought to your attention that you're an alcoholic and that it's a sickness and it's killing you. You're crawling on your knees through life. Your booze-filled belly dragging on the ground, your brain now fuzzy, now in overdrive, your hair sticking together with today's cold sweat and yesterday's vomit. Perhaps they're right. Anything is better than this. Even bone-dry reality itself. Maybe you can quit. I want to do this. This is a personal matter. And I'm happy to have initiated that. I feel like we might shoot up in level and be able to put a bunch of points into things now that we have that thing that gives us... Now that we're in a fucking... We have an actual art degree. We have a lot of options open to us. There's a bunch of thoughts we haven't really properly encountered. And we have 1 slot left. We might have to consider something to remove. I don't know how often this has come up. 1 real is nice, but it might have to go eventually. I'm gonna save now, and I will see you next time.